Hey everyone, how are you? In this video, I'm going to tell you how to create a RAG application using Python and LangChain. So basically what I have is a PDF file, and in this PDF file, I have a detail about what exactly is artificial intelligence, and this PDF file is around 34 pages. So it has a lot of details about what exactly is artificial intelligence. What I want to create is I want to create an application which is basically an AI agent which can answer the questions of this PDF. If I ask what exactly is AI or artificial intelligence, it should know that, okay, where is the exact details in this particular doc, and get that details and provide me the answer. So that's basically what exactly is RAG. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented and Generation. This retrieval means getting some information, augmented means adding some extra context to already existing information, and generation means generating some data. So we are going to retrieve the documents or details from the PDF, augment our LLM prompt or query with that context, and generate the answer based on that particular context. So that's what we need to achieve, and that's basically RAG is all about. We are going to make use of the Groq LLM, and basically Groq is not an LLM, it's an LLM provider which hosts different open source LLMs. So we are going to make use of this because the API key is free, and we are going to make use of Python and LangChain. So first of all, we need to import the required, or I would say install the required modules. So just go to your terminal, and before you run that installation command, I would tell you that create a folder in which you should have 3 files. One of the files should be .env file. I will tell you what the content of it will be. Another file will be the PDF file which you will perform RAG on, and it is not required to be the same file, but I would highly recommend you to get the same file, and you can get the link of this file in the description of this video. Also, you need to create a Python code. Name your code or file anything. I have named it as rag_1.py. So let's first install the required modules. So you just need to run a command, and the command is pip install LangChain, LangChain Groq, LangChain HuggingFace, sentence transformer, PyPDF, python.env. So this LangChain is for the core LangChain functionality. LangChain Groq is to use the Groq LLM provider. LangChain HuggingFace is to use the HuggingFace embedding model, and the embedding transformer which we are going to use in the sentence transformers. PyPDF is to load your Python file, and python.env is to load your environment variables. Now, what exactly is embedding, I will tell you while I will write the embedding code. So don't worry about anything. You can find this pip command in the description of this video as well. Run the command. For me, all the modules are already installed. For you, it will take like few seconds, and it will also get installed. Once the installation is done, I will just clear the console and actually close the terminal and start writing our code. So first of all, we need the Groq API key to access the Groq models, right? So you can actually get the API key from a website called as console.groq.com/keys, and you can find the link of this website in the description of this video. You can log into this particular portal using your Gmail account. So you can get the key very easily. Just click on this create API key button, and it's free, guys. So you don't need to worry about any kind of cost. Now let's get back to our coding environment and start writing our code. So let's talk about the .env file. In this file, you will have one line of code, and there will be a key which will be available in your code as an environment variable, and the key name is Groq_API_key, and the value is going to be the API key which you just got from the console.groq.com. Create this file, and you should have the ai.pdf file or any other file as a PDF in the same folder, and you should have your Python file. So first of all, we need to load the .env file as an environment variable. So we are actually going to make use of from .env. Let's import something called as load.env and call the function load.env. This will make sure that all the details in your .env file are actually available as a system or environment variable in your code. The LLM model, the Groq LLM model, requires the key named as Groq API key. So it will automatically be loaded. And next is we need to load or import from LangChain_Groq. We need to import something called as chat Groq. That will be our LLM model. So we can say model will be equal to chat Groq model. And basically this is the model provider. So we need to provide the actual model name, and we are going to make use of Qwen models, and the actual model name will be Qwen 3-32b. And also we are going to make use of another parameter called as the reasoning format, which will be equal to parsed. Now the value of reasoning format equal to parsed means it is going to separate the reasoning into a dedicated field while keeping the response concise. So many a time you might have seen that when you ask something from, let's say, ChatGPT or Google Gemini, it shows some thinking part before responding you with the actual data. So that thinking part is something which will be separated out in another attribute when you say the reasoning format is parsed. because we are actually interested in the actual response. We are not interested in the reasoning or the thinking part. So once we have the model created, now we are going to load our PDF file. So to load our PDF file, we are going to make use of a class called as PyPDFLoader, and this is actually available in LangChain community module. So we can say from LangChain underscore community dot document loaders, we need to import something called as PyPDFLoader, and let's assign this a variable. So loader is equal to PyPDFLoader, and the file name is going to be ai.pdf. That's my file name. You need to write whatever is your file name path. Now the next is, once we have the loader ready, let's actually load the data and assign this in a variable called as docs. So this will be loader.load. So our data is now loaded into the variable called as docs. And also in this model equal to chat Groq line, this first argument is actually your model. So we need to say model equal to our model name. So we need to provide these two arguments. Now let's continue. So now that our PDF data is loaded, let's also write a simple print message that loading the PDF document. Well, what happens is when you are loading your document, it takes some time, and your user, if they are using your terminal, can actually just see a empty screen. So you want to avoid this and tell them that that PDF data is being loaded, so that they know that they have to wait. Now next is we need to create the splitter. Basically we need to split our PDF data into chunks, because if you see right now we have a 34 pages PDF. Tomorrow we can have a 3400 pages PDF, right? So your PDF size can be huge. So you don't want to load the whole data in your memory at the same time. That can just overload the context of your LLM. So you want to avoid it, and you just want to load the data in chunks. So for that we need to split our data. And to split our data, we are actually going to make use of something called as recursive character text splitter, which is a part of LangChain text splitter module. So let's actually import it. So we can say from LangChain underscore text underscore splitters, we need to import a recursive text splitter. This will split your text recursively into chunks. So let's actually make use of this and create a text splitter. So we can say text splitter equal to recursive character text splitter, and it needs two arguments. It needs the chunk size and chunk overlap. Basically the chunk size is the maximum characters in a single chunk, and chunk overlap is actually a very interesting data. It's the amount of characters which can overlap in two continuous chunks. What I want to say here is, let's say you want to create the chunks of this particular PDF data. Now here if you notice, the data is too big, right? We need to create a chunk of 100 characters, and let's say these are 100 characters. Now the problem is, if you have a one chunk, which is this one, what's highlighted right now, it doesn't hold a complete meaning, right? So what happens is, if this is your first chunk and this is your second chunk, both the chunks doesn't hold a complete meaning. So we have something called a chunk overlap, which says that if you have a first chunk, let's say something like this, then the second chunk can actually overlap and start in between the first chunk. So that is, your first chunk can be this one, from in simple terms to conclusions, and your second chunk can actually start from thoughts and even draw conclusions. It should be able to correct itself. So the two chunks, the two continuous chunks, have some data in common, which gives them a continuous meaning, right? So that's why we have something called a chunk overlap. How many characters can actually overlap at the end of first chunk and at the start of the second chunk. So now once we have the text splitter ready, we will create the splits. So we will say all splits, or all chunks you can say, is equal to text splitter dot split documents, and in this you will pass your documents. So once you have all the splits or all the chunks ready, we can start our embedding process. Now what is this embedding? So basically your PDF data is a text data, right? Now this text data is something which is hard for a model to understand compared to numbers. So the text is converted into numbers, and these numbers are converted into vectors. So this is the process of embedding your data. You are embedding your data ultimately to a vector, which is ultimately a number, and these numbers are easy to understand for a model and easy to search. So you are basically storing your text data as a vector data. So from a vector data, we can easily find what's the most similar data in your whole database. Finding it in a text is going to be difficult. For a human being, it might be easy. For a machine, the vector part is easy. So that's the embedding process. In short, embedding is actually a very complex process, but in short, that's what embedding is all about: converting your text into vector data. So let's do it. We need to have an embedding model. So let's actually create an embedding model. So we can say embeddings will be equal to, and we are going to make use of HuggingFaceEmbedding model, which is available to us freely. So let's make use of this. Before using it, we need to import it. So we can say from LangChain underscore HuggingFace, we need to import HuggingFaceEmbedding model and then create the embedding. So embedding will be equal to HuggingFaceEmbedding, and the model name will be sentence transformers slash all mini LML6v2. That's the model, or that's the transformer which will be acting as our embedding model, and this is provided by Hugging Face. And this is free as well. You can use it freely. It does have some token limit, but that's fine. We can use it for now. Next is we need to create a vector store, and before actually I do it, embedding can also take some time. So let's have a simple print message, building embeddings. So before starting to build the embeddings, we will have this message. Next is, since our embedding instance is ready, we will do the embedding on our actual data, the all splits data, using a vector store. We will store our embedding as a vector in a vector store, and this vector store can be any valid vector store. But right now we are going to make use of a simple in-memory vector store. So for that we need to import. So we can say from LangChain core dot vector stores, we need to import something called as in-memory vector store, and let's make an instance of this as well. So after embedding, let's create our vector store, and this will be equal to in-memory vector store dot from documents. So we have the documents, right? We have all the splits, and this is our embedding. So this will be our code for storing our data as a vector. So once our vector store is ready, we can actually create a tool for our agent. We are actually going to create an agent which will have some prompt, some LLM model. We already have the model. We will create our prompt. So we will have a prompt, an LLM model, and some set of tools. So we will create a tool which is going to fetch the relevant information from the vector store based on the query. So let's create that tool. So let's name that tool as, and we will create a function tool. So I'm using def. So name the tool as def retrieve underscore context from a given query, which is going to be a string. And inside this, first of all, we are going to do a similarity search for the given query. So we will say similar docs is equal to vector store dot similarity search based on this query, and give me the top 3 similar data. So whatever is going to be your query, let's say we query that what is AI. So based on that particular query, it will do a similarity search in our vector store and find the top 3 similar data and return us an array. So let's combine this array, which is actually inside the similar docs. Let's combine the array as a string, because we will give this a string directly to our LLM model. So let's create a data which is going to be a list for now. Inside this list, we are going to store the different details which we are going to get from our docs. So for that, what we have done is we have run a loop for doc in similar docs, data.append. We are appending the data, and we are appending the content and metadata. The content we are going to get is from the doc.page content, and the metadata we will get from the doc.metadata. And we actually don't need all the metadata. So let's actually just give the source, and this will be doc.metadata. Let's get the source, and if the source is not there, just return unknown. Now let's return back this data, the data which we just created, as a string. So I can say return dot join data. Now let's separate the data or the different contexts using 2 line changes. So now what we have is we have a function which will act as a tool which is going to search the similar information from the vector store based on the query and return back a string. And also we need to add a decorator named as add tool. We need to import this tool decorator which is available in the LangChain module. So just add this particular decorator. This is going to make sure that this will now act as a tool, this function. And let's actually import this as well. So we can say from LangChain core.tools import something called as tools. So once this is done, we are good. We are good with our retrieval tool as well. Next is we need to create our agent, right? Now we can create our actual AI agent. So we can say agent is equal to create underscore agent. We need to import this create agent. So we can say from LangChain dot agents import something called as create agent. In this create agent, we need to pass what's the model which we need to use, that's as the first argument. What are the different set of tools which we have? So we have just one tool which is the retrieve context. So that's the tool which we will have. And we need to pass the system prompt as well, the initial system prompt. We are going to have a system prompt. So let's say this is equal to prompt. We will create the variable. We will create this variable prompt. We will write our prompt. So our agent is ready. Next is we need a query or a question. So let's have a question. What is AI according to the document? Let's have a simple straightforward question, and we need the answer. Now to invoke this model, we can actually invoke it directly by saying that agent.invoke and get the response. But that's not what I want to do. I want to show you what's happening step by step, how this agent will call the tool, get the context, then based on the context, it will call the LLM again with some added or augmented data, and then it will generate the data based on the extra context. So what I will make use of is stream. I will stream the whole process of agent calling the LLM model. So I will say for step in agent.stream. We are going to stream our agent, and in this we need to pass the initial message or our query, and we need to pass something called as stream mode. This will be equal to values. What this will do is after every step we will get back the data or the response, so we can print it. So we can say step, then messages, we will get some messages, and we need the latest message, so we will say -1 because we will get it as a list. So the -1 index will give us the latest information dot pretty underscore print. So this will print it in a pretty good way. Also, let's add our agent stream initial message. So this will be passed as a key named as messages, and the value will be a list. The list will have just one value, which is actually going to be a dictionary. In this dictionary, we are going to pass two data: the role who is sending the message and the actual query. So we can say the content will be the query and the role will be the user. Now, finally, we are on the prompt side. Let's make use of the prompt and say that you are an agent who retrieves context from PDF doc, a very simple system prompt. Now, before we run the code, in the tool, we actually need to add a doc string, which is going to act as the documentation of your tool. So let's add a doc string at the start, and let's write it as retrieves relevant context from the PDF document based on the query. Well, this is the doc string which helps the agent or the model realize what this tool is going to do, and based on it, it will call the tool with the relevant information. So I think our code is ready, but I think there's one place where we have done a small mistake, which is data.append. In the tool, we have this data.append, and we are appending a dictionary, which we should not, because later on we are joining the data. So we should have it as a string. So let's make it as a string. So I will just convert this to a string. And since I'm using multi-lines, I'll just use the triple quotes. So triple quotes here as well, and use the string formatting. So what I will have is, I'll have the content, and this will be my content, which will go inside the curly braces, right? And similarly for the source as well, I'll have the source, which will go inside the curly braces. So our string formatting is going to work. So basically every doc data will be appended as a string, and later on, since we have it inside a list, I'll convert it back to a string again. Now we should be good to run the code. So let's just run the code and let's see what the response which we are getting. If you're running it for the first time, it will take some time because it will also download the Hugging Face embedding model, basically the sentence transformer which we are using. But this will be a one-time process. Every subsequent runs will not download the model again. So it's just a one-time process. So you can see we have the loading PDF document now. Then we are building the embeddings, and then we are finally getting the response. So just see the response. We have a human message, which is our query. What is AI according to the document? And we have some other logs coming from the Hugging Face tokenizer, which you can ignore for now. Then we have an AI message that there is a tool calling done with a query, what is AI? Then the tool message responds with some data. It has the content, which is the artificial intelligence coming from the page number 1, and some definition and another content, and I think it will have another content. Total 3 contents are here. And then the final AI message, which is about what exactly is AI according to this document. This is the definition of AI according to the document. So we are basically doing RAG here. If you see the code right now, we are using the value of k equal to 3, and that's why we got 3 different contexts coming from the doc or the vector store. And finally, we got the answer of our query. The query was, what is AI according to the document, right? You can see it on the line number 38. So this is how you create a RAG. What I will ask you guys is, try to change the query and see what's the response you are getting. And every time you will see a different response based on the different query, and the response will actually be coming from your actual PDF file. But if you face any error, which I believe you can, or anyone can, if they are building a RAG app for the first time, then make sure that you put it in the comment box. This is a one-time process, guys. I will tell you, once you understand the basics of RAG, once you understand how it actually works under the hood, creating bigger complex application will be a piece of cake for you guys. And if you face any issues, you know where to come, right? You can just comment it out in this video, and I will provide the solution for it. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope this video has explained you something about RAG, embedding, and creating a whole code of RAG. And if it did, then make sure that you hit that like button. And guys, honestly, it took a lot of efforts to create this video. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well if you found this video helpful. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching this one.